What's up, gear lovers out there? This is Gearaholic here, doing another review on some more gear. Ironic. But today I will be doing a gear review on the UST, that's Ultimate Survival Technologies Sparkie. It is their version of a very lightweight option to the ferrocerium rod or striking uh, class, I guess, of survival tech. And the company UST, or Ultimate Survival Technologies, is a off branch of the Revere Supply Company, and they've been in product. I think UST particularly has been employed into the survival tactics and survival stuff since the 1930s, or at least that's what it says on their website. And I may have read wrong, but that's essentially what I remember reading when I did the research. But basically, Ultimate Survival Technologies, they generally make a lot of signaling devices or fire starters or survival gear, which is pretty common for a lot of companies that make fire strikers like this. So there's obviously other models too out there. They're more famous, I think, for their Strike Force, their Spark Force, and their Blastmaster fire starters. I don't personally own any of those, nor have I used any of them. They're a little bit big for my taste, and they're a little bit cumbersome and oversized. I feel like for my usage, but maybe one day I might get a hold of one just to kind of test it out, and my opinion may change. But as of right now, my opinion stands that I do not own one, and I'm not interested in owning one of their other brands. What I do own of theirs is this thing. This little guy is called the Sparkie, which is really funny. The Sparkie does come in two different sizes. I believe they have a micro or a mini Sparkie, which is a smaller version of this actual one, or at least that's what I've seen. And these do come in many colors. They have every color from black to lime green to blue, red, yellow, you name it, and they all come in the same. They all come in different colors. I got a generic orange, and the reason why was, one, that was just the color that that was available, and then two, I feel as if the high visibility orange, it really just suits my purposes. Generally, when I'm outdoors and I have anything that's small like this, it's best that it is high visibility, just because when you put it on the ground, or you leave it, or you drop it or something, it just makes it a lot easier to find. I also did attach a lanyard onto this so I could hang it around my neck. Right now I just put the lanyard away just for the ease of doing the review. But I usually carry like some 550 cord on it, and that just, some extra stuff just to have with you in case something happens and you need it. The two most important foundations that I always believe in is, when you go outside, you should have two things. Some sort of tool, whether it's a knife or a utility blade or a multi-tool, or whatever you guys want to carry, some sort of utility tool, and then obviously fire. Fire is one of those things that it's primitive. Everybody should have it. Everybody should carry something, if they're going on any kind of outdoor excursion, some way to warm your body or yourself, just in case something, stuff hits the fan. It is very important that you understand that using this kind of system, where it's the ferrocerium rod strikers, it's very important to know that you should not solely rely on this unless you feel competent that you can use the actual ferrocerium rod by itself. You should always have a secondary system, such as a lighter. I use a big lighter, and usually this, and these two things usually go with me uh, uh, into the wilderness. And sometimes I'll carry matches if I need to. I do generally carry the Light My Fire firesteel. I've already done a review on these particular firesteels, and I find that they're absolutely perfect for any kind of environment. And I've already done a review on those, so I'm going to put this away. But before I got one of these, before I started using this particular model, I got one of these, the Ultimate Survival Technologies Sparkie. And I've had mine for a very long. I had mine for a very long time. This is a newer one that I've had for a while, and I haven't really used it just because I prefer the Light My Fire ones, or I've been using the Light My Fire ones. And my older model that I had before I got the Light My Fire, which looked exactly like this. I used it so much that it literally started falling apart, and I used it for quite some time, at least a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, before I actually finally gave it up and got something else to replace it. And this is the replacement for it that I've had. And basically, what the Sparkie is obviously it's a ferrocerium rod striker. And what you do is it's a one-handed operation striker. It's what they call a plunger strike, where you actually what you do is you pinch you actually pinch down onto the ferrocerium rod, and you can see there's a little bit of metal protruding right up in there. I'm trying to get it on camera, but you see that little metal thing? Where's my pencil? There's a little metal protrusion right here, right inside the actual thing. It's almost like a crisp uh, blade, if you will, that actually pushes down on the ferrocerium and helps strike the ferrocerium as you plunge it down. And it's a one-handed operation, so you can have your other hand free to kind of hold your tinder or whatever while you're actually doing your operation. And it is very easy and simplistic, and it helps you can kind of aim, if you will, aim where you're going to go due to these little kind of double notches up here at the front. You kind of aim where your sparks are going to go or end up, and it makes it a lot easier to direct your force into whatever you're trying to ignite. Generally I carry cotton balls with me when I'm doing outdoor excursions, such as this one. And generally, I like to aerate the cotton ball, and then I will strike into the cotton ball itself to ignite it, and then build on top of that. They do sell wet fire by the same company. UST does sell wet fire. This stuff is really good. It works for me. I've had it in the past. This actually came with this particular striker. So these two things came together in like a package deal. It did not have the 550 cord on it. It was just the striker and the wet fire, and that's really kind of nice that they're doing that. You know, they're kind of promoting their other products too, along by giving you a freebie with what you've been buying or what you bought. I think I paid $12 total for this actual plunger, and I think that's with shipping and handling from Amazon. I have been in stores such as REI and other places like Academy that do sell this particular model, and I think it's right around the $9 range. I would say go buy it in a store. Don't buy it online, because you're always going to get gypped and pay more online for shipping and handling than you would if you just went to the store and just bought it right out. But check your local dealers, before you go out and start buying things online. Just to see if they carry particular models that you like. I personally prefer this style model, just because of the ease of access of actually igniting the actual plunger. It just makes it really easy, especially when you're cold and you're tired and it's the end of the day and all you have to light things with is this guy. And so this is a really good backup system for your lighter or whatever your primary fire starting technique is. Or maybe this can be your primary fire starting technique. I just personally really like this model, and I have not tried out the mini. I might buy one of those, the mini Sparkie that UST sells. That might be kind of a cool thing to invest in or check out. I don't know how small it is, and I don't know the dimensions on the mini, but I know that the dimensions on this guy, the overall length of it, just without the actual plunger in it, is it's 2.3 inches by 1. I think it's 1.25 inches, and then it is 3/4 of an inch thick, and then the plunger itself is like right around 1.5 inches, and then the ferrocerium rod is right in there. And the great thing about it is you can kind of rotate that rod as you use the firesteel. You can kind of rotate that rod around. So they were really thinking when they created this whole system, and if need be, if this plunger system fails, you can actually pop. I'm not going to do it, but you can actually twist and pop the actual ferrocerium rod out and use it with maybe a backup system like your knife, and actually strike the firesteel and start fire that way. So it's kind of like a nice little thing. I don't know if that was the intended purpose, but you can do that if you're in a major emergency. My experiences with this particular model, I got one, let's see, a while back, a long time ago, maybe like 5 years ago. I had one, and I used it off and on as my primary and not primary way of starting fire, and I had a lot of success with actually starting quite a bit of fire with these particular strikers. They strike particularly well. They're not. I wouldn't say that they're the greatest at casting off sparks, but they do the job, and they do a very good job of casting off sparks. I'm not saying the ferrocerium rods suck or anything. There are just better brands out there, I'm sure, that cast off sparks better. But I have found I prefer this company and Light My Fire over the other companies that I've experienced through my travels and through getting gear and different things, whether they're gifts or I buy them. I use my older model of this same style so many times and so much that it actually started wearing away at the actual spring, and it wouldn't even pop out. And I had to pull it out each time to actually plunge it down. And I kept having to pull it out and plunge it down and pull it out and plunge it down. And it got really annoying. And so I finally just, I actually finally broke it, and it wouldn't even stay in anymore. This, you're able to actually plunge it in deep enough that it actually locks into place, and it doesn't, it doesn't come out or anything. There's no special way to get it out there other than depressing the actual tabs, and it actually says push here, and you just squeeze those together, and the whole thing just pops out. So it's just like an actuator that keeps it together, and it's really nice, and it works really well. I would suggest maybe putting the smallest amount of lubricant on these plastic sides, just to keep it working and keep that spring kind of in a way like in action. That you don't have to do that. I mean, I used mine without any kind of oil for the longest time. I just noticed eventually the grime and the dirt and of being an ash and all that from starting other fires just kind of gets in there and just makes it really nasty. It is surrounded by like a grippy, rubbery outside texture, which is really nice, and it makes it easy to grab with gloves or with just your bare hands. But it really does a great job of being grippy and very weather resistant. I've found that I've had this in rains and things, and it has not been affected by any moisture. Some ferrocerium rods are very susceptible to corrosion. These UST Sparkies are particularly resistant to water and other things. It is not waterproof by any means or water sealed, but it does protect it from being rained on and having stuff get in it by having it closed off. But the face is still a little bit open, so things do get in here. And like I said, you're paying like $10, around the $10 mark for these, and they're very high quality made. I mean, they didn't skip out on materials. Obviously, this is obviously not a permanent thing that you would want to carry around with you. It is a good temporary device to use if you're into ferrocerium rod striking. This works very well, and it functions very well. And the spring is very good. I mean, I could sit here and do this all day long. And it's almost like a little toy or something, but it's a lot of fun, and it does make things easier, especially if you're wounded. This is a great thing to have in your possession because it eliminates the need for two hands for striking, or if your thumbs are raw from striking. They get raw from striking so much. If you're having a really hard time, striking up a fire, this doesn't wear you out at all. It is very simple, and it gets a nice clean action. The ferrocerium rod does wear away evenly, which is really nice. And then you can kind of rotate it. I rotate it every like 5 or 6 strikes, and it rotates relatively easy too. I've had no problems with rotating the actual fire steel itself. Over time, obviously with grit and sand and stuff, it's going to be harder to rotate. Um, and I don't know what happened to my old one. I think I don't know if I threw it out or what. That's probably what happened to it. I cannot remember what I actually did with my old one. I really wish I had it now so I could show you guys in the review of how damaged and dirty it really was. But it worked really well, and it functioned, and it lived its life to the fullest, and it saw lots of fires and lots of adventure. And so I have to highly recommend the Ultimate Survival Technology Sparkie as one of those things that you should go out there and get if you're really interested in it. So with that being said, that's really all I got for this particular item. I will be coming with you guys with more reviews, but that's all I have to say for now on this. And you guys be safe out there. Don't get yourself into trouble, and try not to start too many fires. Be very fire conscious, because there are a lot of forest fires started every year by people. Whether it's a cigarette thrown out of a window, or an accidental campfire that gets out of control. So just make sure that you're safe out there, and you're not trying to ruin Mother Nature with with fire, because we got to leave it for the generations that are still to come. Well, that being said, that's all I got to say. You guys have fun out there, and try not to cut yourselves.